Hey, what's up guys, Ravenclaw here, and welcome back to another video on the Ravenclaw channel. Yes, I'm still not feeling the best, but I wanted to keep these videos rolling. Today I'm going to show you what macros and bits and pieces I use for mostly PvP. If you guys do enjoy this type of video, I will start making more for different specs, classes, and everything that you guys want. So let's get into our macros. So for you guys that aren't familiar with how to, manipulate macros and what they do and that, essentially a macro is allowing you to do multiple things with one click, one button, one action. So I'll go through what I've got here. Okay, most of them I've had to sort of rework for BFA, and hopefully they'll help you out. But we will go over sort of like, a bit more about macros later after I go through mine. Okay, so the first one I got here is a simple modifier macro. It allows me to have my Aspect of the Wild and Bestial Wrath. Now the reason why I had to do this is because now Aspect of the Wild is on the global cooldown, so that way I can hit my Bestial Wrath, and then when I press Alt, as you look down here, it'll change. Some people are using cast sequence macros. I don't like that because you don't have control over it. I like to have this, that way I can use my Bestial Wrath, and if it's not time for me to take down a target, I've still got my aspect ready to go. The next one is, because I'm a human, I have my every man for himself racial. Now this, once again, when I hold Alt, if I'm in a stun, I can simply hold Alt and get out of it, or I always have my freedom trinket ready to go no matter what. Okay, next one. This one here. This goes back to, we were talking about how to, what's the best way to defeat a rogue or keep on top of rogues and that. This one is just a simple little target, and what it does is, let's just go over to a train dummy. So down here, obviously our main attack is a BM, is a Cobra Shot, right? So when I have a target, look, you'll notice down here, right? So you'll see it change. So when I hit a target, it'll make my Cobra Shot appear. So that's good. So I'm using Cobra Shot, Cobra Shot. But what happens is, when I lose the target, as in a rogue's gone to stealth, I have my flare ready to go. So, I mean, this isn't a necessity. You don't have to have this one. But I found it very useful when I'm, going up against a rogue, a feral, anything that can basically lose sight or go invisible. That one, I just have my flare ready to go no matter what. So the next one. This one uses a modifier and a target modifier. This one being my focus. So when I set a focus, so if we go over here, right, so I have a focus now set. I can be on my main target, and if I hold shift down here, I can kick the focus target without having to retarget, mouse over, or anything of the sort, which is very, very handy. Okay, moving on. This one here is my, I called it run or fly. Simply what it means is, I've made some conditions saying that if I'm in combat, right, if you look here, if I'm in combat, I'll have my aspect of the cheetah. So I know I can't mount, but at least I've got my aspect to get me out of harm's way. But, having said that, if I go inside, I'll drop aggro. You'll also notice that I have the cheetah ready to go, so if I'm in a dungeon or whatever, I can still get around. But when I go outside, I can mount up. This is more of just a utility thing. You don't have to do this, but I found it to be pretty useful. Next macro is my freezing trap macro. This is once again a target modifier and a key modifier. Holding shift will tell the macro to drop the freezing trap at my position. So at player means at yourself. Or if I don't hold shift, I can then use it. It's basically the old trap launcher macro. So if I'm got a healer here, I can simply run over the healer, drop a trap at my feet, and keep going, or vice versa. Next one is a simple macro to cancel the turtle shell. Showing here, it says cancel aura. The aura is the buff that you'll see up the top here. Most of these up here are called auras. So if you've got, say, Blessing of Protection from a Paladin. That's an aura, and you can cancel that at any time. Same with our turtle shell. This is important if you're getting targeted and you're not going to die, but you just needed it to stop a CC or stop something killing you, but you don't want to wait the full duration. It's good to have that control, so that when you pop turtle, you're okay, good, but you want to get back in the action, you just press it again, and the turtle shell goes down. It's awesome to have. What you can do, however, is I recommend not just having turtle shell here, putting in the other ones like cancel or blessing of protection and anything else that will stop you from landing a kill. Alright, so my next macro here is my healing macro. Okay, oops, let me just go back into that. Okay, as you can see here, I've been running with a friend to do all the pre-patch catch-up and everything like that. With the Spirit Men now actually helping out a lot, what I've done here is when I hold shift and I hit the key that I've bound it to, it'll heal my friend. If not, I'll have it at myself, so when I hit it, it'll heal me. You can further go on to have it heal your pet as well, but don't make your macros too too in-depth, because what will happen is they get too congested and it's not much of a help anymore. Okay, so my next ones are very PvP focused, right? So what I've done here, so where are we? I've got my Roar of Sacrifice. Now this is a modifier, key modifier and a target modifier again, that will, if I hold shift, now if you look over here, if I hold shift, I have my Master's Call, and if I let go, I've got my Roar of Sacrifice. So that way, if I'm, I'm on a target and, I've just been rooted, I can get my pet to come get me. If I hold shift, I can get out of harm's way and keep going into the fight. And then let's say, they've just swapped to me, I can simply just press it with no modifier, my pet will drop Roar of Sacrifice on me, and we can keep moving. Now, I have this for party 1. So down here, when you have your modifiers, you'll have at party 1, which will be the first person in your party, and then you have your at party 2. Now, just be mindful if you are in an arena, your order that you go outside of the arena can change. So when I say that, it's just how it's listed when you get into the arena. It's annoying who has leads and who doesn't, but just be mindful of that. This is just a little quick macro that I use just to have both things. Now that we have command pet and Roar of Sacrifice, Master's Call with your cunning family. So those are my main macros. I don't really rely too much on macros. I just use the ones that can just basically take away 2 buttons, I guess, and have everything more around my left hand when I'm moving and I'm fighting and that. I like to have everything sort of localized, not have to reach over everywhere and whatnot, because I use a Corsair mouse that has the buttons on the side, and I just like to keep everything tight so I can focus more on what the enemy's doing and not what I'm doing. Now, what you can do, and what I'll just show you to help you out real quick, if you do want to make your own macros, these are the things you can look for. Now, if you want to use an item in, let's say you've got a trinket, right? You want to use that trinket. These are listed from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth, down to 13 and 14. So let's say you wanted to use the trinket in slot 13. You would go /use 13. You can do a static one, which means you type, put the name in there, but what you're going to have to do every single time is move, retype the name in for every time, and especially if you swap gears out for different types of arenas and stuff. I don't do that. I like to keep everything dynamic, so using 13 is much cleaner. If you want to cast an ability, you go /cast. Then anything in your brackets will be your modifiers and then your spells. So, for example, if you want to use a modified macro, then you would simply go mod, shift, control, or alt. So it's shift, CTRL for control, or alt. Okay. Now, bear in mind, if you put this macro on a key or a slot down here that is key bound, like holding shift and then 1, this will not work. So you have to unbind it in your keybinds before this will work. Now you can have other things like at player, which is yourself. Whoops. You can have it at target, obviously being your target. Other things like if you want to do your party, you need to go party 1 to 5. Okay, those will be your listings on the left hand side here. You can also, if you were in an arena that you want to target a certain arena position, it's simply at arena, 1, 2, 3, whichever. The other thing is you can go at a focus if you've got a focus set, or furthermore, if you want to set a focus and have it, as a macro, you can simply go /focus arena 1, arena 2, player 1, whatever you want. Remember, if you are making a macro and you put a mod in here, and then you want to put another mod, so if we go mod shift, right, then we want to put at player, you have to put a comma. So at player, then end it with a bracket. Then you put your spell name after that, or whatever. So that way, this will simply say, while I'm holding shift, and I will do something for the player, this is what will happen. Okay, and it will go from whatever's left to right. So if you've put something above this one, as regards to this, if you go, put that, and then you just simply go cast that, what will happen is the macro won't actually see anything below it. It'll just cast that and move on. So be very mindful of that. So even if you went something like this, use 13, right, and then you go, yeah, all good, this will actually not listen to your anything after that, because it believes that, all right, this is executed, I don't have to go any further. So just be mindful of the way you set things out. If you find something that's not working, think, okay, what is the macro doing? Let's go through it step by step, and you'll usually find where the problems are as you do that. Now, if you, however, want to go cast mod, hold shift at player and do this, but then want to do something else without the mod, you need to put a semicolon at the end, then you put the next spell. Okay, so that way you'll have two spells based on what you want to do. Okay, now, if you, however, want to, let's say you say, all right, okay, I'm going to go cast this spell at myself while I'm holding shift, but when I want to hold alt, I want to do something else. That's easy. So remember putting the semicolon to finish off this line of code here, and then another bracket, mod alt, end the bracket. Let's just say this one will be at the target, right? Then you can go put your spell in for that. So that way when you hold alt, this will happen, and when you hold shift, this will happen. And don't worry about if, because this is above this line, this is actually now read as one sequence. So okay, when you activate this macro, it'll go, you've pressed this macro, not holding shift, but I can see you're holding alt. Then I'm going to do that. Just be careful how you lay out your mods, and it has to be spelt exactly right. It cannot be, that's a lowercase n or whatever. That's why if you're making a macro, once you've put your mods in, just highlight the spell you want, hold shift, and then left click, and it will drop it in there for you exactly. Lastly, what else? Sorry, lastly we'll do a /cast sequence, right? What that says is we're going to do a series of spells, and then we're going to say reset after a certain condition. So the reset, so after cast sequence, you need to then go reset is equal to, let's say, 5 seconds. So that way, if you haven't gotten through the whole sequence, it'll go back to the beginning after 5 seconds. You can, however, say target. So whenever you change the target, you will then change the sequence. But if you go, if you want to put spells in, they must be separated by a comma every time. That's just simply like that. Now, I don't want to go too crazy with these macros right now, because I literally could be here for hours going through the intricacies of macros. I can write, you know, advanced macros, but honestly, don't rely too heavily on macros. Macros will not play the game for you. They're not designed for that. They will not do any automation, like not detect things around you or detect other bits and pieces, players or whatever. They're just there to make your life a little bit easier by merging spells into a single keybind. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this real quick. It's probably longer than really quick. It's been like 15 minutes. But anyway, if you did get anything out of this, let me know down below. If you want me to do more of these videos where I do go more in depth into macros and show you the behind the scenes, I guess, on how it all works, or, you know, work for macros for a certain spec or class, let me know down below, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with that. But other than that, guys, you take care, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.
Wrap my boat